When we picture survival in brutal winter warfare, we imagine thick wool blankets, heavy coats, and tightly rolled sleeping bags. That image feels logical, even comforting. But during World War II, when soldiers fought in frozen forests, shattered cities, and wind-scoured open fields, those items often failed first. Blankets froze stiff, coats soaked through. Sleeping bags, when they existed at all, turned into frozen boards. Yet there was one overlooked material that quietly kept men alive when issued gear failed completely. It wasn't advanced technology or rare equipment. It was something ordinary, something most people walk past without a second glance. That life-saving insulator was straw. Entire units survived Europe's deadliest winters not by stacking more blankets, but by sleeping on straw, stuffing it into clothing and lining shelters with it. Today, that knowledge is almost forgotten, yet it remains one of the most practical cold-weather survival lessons ever learned under fire. Stay with me, because understanding why straw worked could change how you think about warmth, insulation, and survival forever. Before we dive in, if you value real historical survival knowledge like this, take a moment to like the video, share it with fellow history and survival enthusiasts, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Warcraft Survival. This channel exists to preserve the hard-won lessons that kept people alive when conditions were at their worst. Now, let's get into it. Why World War II? Winters defeated standard gear. World War II exposed soldiers to some of the most punishing winters of the 20th century. On the Eastern Front, temperatures dropped below -30 degrees Celsius, freezing weapons, fuel, and exposed skin within minutes. During the Battle of the Ardennes, frostbite casualties rivaled combat losses. Issued wool blankets absorbed snow, sweat, and condensation, becoming heavy, damp, and useless. Once wet, wool lost its insulating power. Sleeping bags were rare, and when soaked, they froze solid overnight. What soldiers needed wasn't comfort. They needed insulation that worked when wet, resisted compression, and could be found in massive quantities. Straw met every one of those requirements. It was everywhere across Europe, stored in barns, lofts, fields, and abandoned farms. Soldiers didn't just use it when nothing else was available. They actively sought it out because it worked. The simple science that made straw superior is, well, quite fascinating. The effectiveness of straw comes down to a basic survival principle many people misunderstand. Warmth doesn't come from thickness or weight. It comes from trapped air. Insulation works by slowing heat loss, and air is one of the best natural insulators available. Wool blankets rely on loft to trap air, but once compressed or wet, that loft just disappears. Straw behaves differently. Each stalk is stiff and hollow, creating thousands of tiny air pockets that resist collapse. Even when slightly damp, straw maintains its structure. When soldiers lay on a thick layer of straw, it created a powerful barrier between their bodies and the frozen ground. Heat stopped bleeding away through conduction. Cold stopped creeping upward. The difference was immediate and, honestly, often life-saving. How soldiers actually used straw in the field might surprise you. Soldiers didn't use straw in just one way. They used it everywhere. For bedding, they laid down layers 6 to 12 inches thick before wrapping themselves in coats or blankets. This alone reduced heat loss more effectively than multiple wool layers placed directly on frozen ground. Straw was stuffed into greatcoats, turning them bulky and awkward but dramatically warmer. Boots were packed with straw to protect toes from frostbite, especially when socks were wet or missing. Helmets were sometimes padded with straw to reduce heat loss from the head. In bunkers and makeshift shelters, straw was packed into walls and ceilings to block drafts. Some units even mixed straw with mud to create insulated structural walls that hardened as they froze. Men who adopted these methods endured the cold far better than those who relied solely on issued gear. This wasn't theory. It was proven night after night under lethal conditions. Why this knowledge still matters today? Straw hasn't lost its value, you know. Modern survivalists, bushcrafters and cold-weather campers can still use these same principles. A straw bed, about 6 to 8 inches thick, can dramatically reduce heat loss when sleeping outdoors. And add in straw over the body creates additional insulation by trapping warm air close to the skin. Straw can be used to improvise insulation inside jackets, between clothing layers, or even inside footwear. Dry straw inside boots can keep feet warmer than wet socks, as long as it's changed regularly. Even the most crude shelters become significantly warmer when straw is used to line the walls or roofing. These techniques require no advanced tools, no electricity, and, well, no modern materials at all. For preparedness, straw bales remain cheap, durable, and multi-purpose. They can serve as emergency insulation, livestock bedding, or shelter reinforcement. The lesson here is not about nostalgia. It's about understanding insulation at its most fundamental level. The deeper lesson of the forgotten insulator. Straw's role in World War II survival reveals something deeper about human resilience. Survival rarely depends on having the best equipment. It depends on understanding how the environment works and adapting what's available. Straw was never designed for warfare, yet it outperformed much of the gear created for it. For history enthusiasts, this is a reminder of the ingenuity soldiers displayed under unimaginable pressure. For survival-minded viewers, it's proof that knowledge weighs nothing but can save your life. And for anyone serious about preparedness, it shows that overlooked materials often hold the greatest value when conditions turn deadly. Straw wasn't glamorous. It wasn't issued, but it kept men alive when winter tried to kill them. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure you subscribe to Warcraft Survival, share this video with fellow history and survival enthusiasts, and help keep these hard-earned lessons alive. History doesn't just belong in books. It belongs in the knowledge we carry forward.